Hey there, folks. I'm Mark, in affiliation with Spectrum Pulse, and it looks like coming back from vacation, I got a cooldown week. It's a weird one, because it's Billboard BREAKDOwn. I don't remember. You know, for what counts as a cooldown week, I was expecting this to be a little bit slower than it is, but I guess in the aftermath of album bombs, is that when they start to fade away, a bunch of smaller stuff fills in the gaps, at least until the next one, which will likely be given next week, probably JID or more likely DJ Khaled. Good stuff. Anyway, in the reset towards normalcy, let's start off with our top 10, where once again, As It Was by Harry Styles has reclaimed the top spot. I don't think it's a secure number one, mostly here thanks to consistently strong radio and just enough streaming, but it'll work, at least for now, and it can edge out About Damn Time by Lizzo at number 2, because despite leading the radio, she has weaker streaming. But now we got competition from Bad Habit by Steve Lacy up to number 3. The streaming's ridiculous here, and as soon as it closes that gap on the radio, it could become a contender. Man, I did not see this one coming. But right behind it is Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush at number 4. Yeah, the radio is still remarkably good, but the only reason it overtook Break My Soul by Beyonce at number 5 is the gap in the streaming, where Beyonce is lagging more than some folks would have you believe. Then we got the next rising contender with Sunroof by Nicki Yor and Daisy at number 6, where the radio is wavering, but that's pretty much all it has. And that places it in stark contrast with Super Freaky Girl by Nicki Minaj tumbling off the very top to number 7, where it is getting the radio push, but perhaps too late to really hold or reclaim the top spot. Finally, we got 3 songs that are stubbornly not moving at all. Wait For You by Future Thames and Drake at number 8, squatting on the radio and streaming That Will Not Die. Mi Porto Bonito by Bad Bunny and Chincha Corleone at number 9, on a majority of streaming, and that could be kind of tenuous long term, although it hasn't been true with this. And I Like You, a happier song by Post Malone featuring Doja Cat at number 10, because the radio won't stop promoting it. Joy. Now anyway, on to our losers and dropouts, where in the latter category, the majority of it is just album bomb stuff, but we did see a few expected drop-offs, like Get Into It Yeah by Doja Cat clinching its year-end list spot, alongside Sweetest Pie by Megan Thee Stallion and Dua Lipa falling off again, and Take My Name by Parmalee and Damn Straight by Scotty McCreery fighting it out for the very bottom of that year-end list. It's gonna be depressing as all hell if goddamn Parmalee pulls this off and Scotty McCreery doesn't. What a shame. Now anyway, the losers we can all chalk up to the album bombs, with Cuff It by Beyonce continuing down to 91, and from Broadwave, Alone at 47, Youngin' with Jack Harlow at 78, and Sweet Little Lies at 94. Now comes the much bigger story this week is in our returns and gains, and whoo boy, in the weeks after so many album bombs, I can say we got a lot of both returns and gains, and I can't say I'm all that happy with the majority of them here. I mean, the returns were starting off with Vet Motors by Youngboy Never Broke Again at 98, To Be Loved, Am I Ready by Lizzo at 95. It's getting a radio push, it's gonna be bigger. Music for a Sushi Restaurant by Harry Styles at 93, Country On by Luke Bryan at 85, and Wild As Her by Corey Kent at 84. Then we got the BZRP Music Sessions Volume 52 by Bizarrap and Quevedo back at 82. It's still dominant globally, I'm not surprised. Followed by yet another return for Hotel Lobby, Unconfused by Quavo and Takeoff at 80, All Mine by Brent Faiyaz at 79, and Neverita by Bad Bunny at 72. The big story with returns is Die For You by The Weeknd finally being allowed to return at 71. It's an album cut from Starboy that's been going viral for months now, and was allowed to chart globally for months after getting a late video release on Starboy's 5th anniversary last year. A little bit odd for such a late comeback to be allowed, but I guess I'm gonna take it. It's a decent song, although not the deep cut I would prefer from that album. Now for our gains. And they're all over the goddamn place, and we should start off with country because the stability of the Nashville radio makes them the easiest to explain. What My World Spins Around by Jordan Davis off the debut to 86, Thought You Should Know by Morgan Wallen at 81, Ghost Story by Carrie Underwood at 74, She Likes It by Russell Dickerson and Jake Scott at 73, Pick Me Up by Gabby Barrett at 69, Truth About You by Mitchell Tenpenny at 65, With the Woman You Love by Justin Moore at 64, and Rockin' a Hard Place by Bailey Zimmerman up to at 29. Then we get the slightly more interesting pickups. Da 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 by Nordowick is now surging at 48, along with Victoria's Secret by Jax up to 52. And while I'm groaning here, Despecha by Rosalia is continuing to rise steadily up to 67. And let's not forget Unstoppable by Sia up to 55. Now thankfully there is some quality in the gains. Free Mind by Thames at 56, Last by Burna Boy at 63, Until I Found You by Steven Sanchez at 76. Hell, I'll even take Puffin' on Zooties by Future at 77. And to round all this out, Sleazy Flow by Sleazy World and Lil Baby at 53, and La Corriente by Bad Bunny and Tony Dice picked up a bit to 87. Neat. But now on to our surprisingly sizable list of new arrivals, and it has to start with number 100, La Bachata by Manuel Turizo. So, okay, the last time I talked about Manuel Turizo was back in 2018 when he was a guest presence on an Ozuna song and somehow had less charisma. So now he's got a song about Bachata, about a year late to the trend, and honestly, I didn't dislike this the way I thought I would. Yeah, he's late to Bachata, but balanced against the more fidgety percussion, the thicker bass, and more rollick off the groove and the gleaming keys, it produces a slightly more eclectic and different vibe. Unfortunately, it doesn't really match the content at all, which when translated as a post-breakup song where Turizo is tormented and bitter to the point where he's hoping that she falls in love with someone else and then is dumped so that she can feel like he does. I mean, it's petty in a way that doesn't really match the chipper bounce of the song or how heartfelt Turizo is selling it, so overall, just kinda strange. I'm not gonna call it bad per se, just odd. Number 99, Soul by Brice.
You got that heart and made it go, baby. I'm gonna love you till I'm old, baby. I just wanna be your baby.
Well, about time this is charting stateside. Always a little bit funny when country songs from the US break through in other countries before the Hot 100, and Brice has been running this up the Canadian charts for the past little while. Now granted, this is a song from November 2020 that's only coming through now, and it's another weird one. Anchored in a brittle acoustic line, a blend of program percussion, fake snaps, and live drums that can't escape how weirdly canned the entire mix feels, especially in the vocals, and how the lyrical conceit is how he likes this girl's soul, despite verses being considerably hornier. I get the weird thing that Brice is trying to do the whole country soul thing Brett Eldredge has been doing for a while now, especially with some of the baritone vocals, but the mix doesn't have the warm, organic production to sell it. Honestly, it's kind of more goofy in the incompetence than outright bad, but come on. If Nashville's gonna start pushing this and not Brett Eldredge's newest singles, something has gone very wrong. This isn't remotely good. Number 97, Snap by Rosa Linn. And now in this strange week, we got a song from goddamn Eurovision. Fantastic. But okay, Rosa Linn is an artist from Armenia. She's actually had a single with Kiara, of all people, last year. But this is now her worldwide breakthrough. And wow, this sounds like something that would have come from the 2012 pop folk scene with the acoustic guitars, the snaps, the gang vocals, and the millennial whoops. This is that early 2010s revival. It's really coming back despite getting so much savage mockery last year. Albeit with some now weird synths on the back end. Now look, I don't dislike this sound, and it's honestly better produced than I had expected, especially as Rosa Linn is a decent enough singer to back up the double sentiment of trying to snap away feelings of an ex and being pushed to the very limit so that she might snap. But the problem is tone. The song is too warm and jaunty to sell the sense of exasperated tension a song like this really needs. I don't get a sense that it is gonna all cut loose and fall apart. Honestly, if this hadn't picked up traction on Eurovision, I can't imagine this getting that much attention, unless this trend has legs. I mean, it's not bad, but I think we're all better off moving on. Number 96, 29 by Demi Lovato.
Just a fantasy, but was it yours or was it mine? 17, 29.
You know, if there was gonna be a song to break through for Demi Lovato, it was probably gonna be this one, and it's a good thing that it's really damn good. Targeting their ex, Wilmer Valderrama, it rips into him for dating them off and on and manipulating them throughout their relationship when they were 17 and he was 29. This guy apparently likes dating younger women with a significant age gap because as he gets older, they all stay the same, and I'm sorry, that's predatory and gross. But Demi is also smart enough to frame the song as at one point them thinking that it might have been their fantasy, and now coming to the sharp realization that it never was. It's direct, it's furious, it works well with the sour guitars that pick up some explosive presence on the hook, and isn't it something to take a pop-punk approach to this sort of dynamic given this genre's sordid reputation? And man, I wish this song had better production. I'm sorry, it's an issue all across Holy Fuck, and it's just as true here, with everything overcompressed and nothing having the sinuous raw firepower to really explode. Oak has no business working in rock, and a better producer could have knocked a song like this out of the park. So yes, it is very good. It's not great, not my favorite from the album, but it's absolutely worth your time. I just wish it was a little better. Number 92, Half of Me by Thomas Rhett featuring Riley Green.
In the sky and the mountains are blue. Half of me wants a cold beer, and the other half does too.
So apparently Thomas Rhett put out an album earlier this year. I didn't cover it. I think I'm about out of things to say about Thomas Rhett's brand of gentrified pop country, and even his fans weren't entirely behind this one. But now he's got a single featuring Riley Green, who I kept expecting to have a mainstream breakthrough the past couple of years, and it hasn't really happened. But with this, oh for God's sake, this is Beer Can't Fix Part 2, but minus the novel relief and catharsis that came when that song dropped in 2020. Yes, it's got more of a breezy, neo-traditional vibe courtesy of the sandy percussion, the pedal steel, and some of the warmer guitar tones, where Riley Green, he would be the one to drop the Alan Jackson reference. But when it feels like so much of a flagrant retread, it's hard to ignore how flimsy the entire damn song feels. I have heard beer commercials with more substance than this. So yes, on some level, it's harmless. I guess it's fine. But it's also kind of pointless. And it's not something I'm going to care about. Next, number 90, Don't Come Lookin' by Jackson Dean.
Come looking.
You know, if half of Music Row would stop plugging the airwaves with interchangeable white guys who churn out mostly anonymous music, and maybe look to the wealth of interesting talent all around the indie scene that I talk about all the goddamn time, I might complain a little bit less. Well anyway, Jackson Dean got his start opening up for a lot of the modern bro country set. He got signed to Big Machine. He dropped an album last year that completely missed my radar and seemingly the radar of everyone else, but this song wound up on Yellowstone. It might be worth hearing, and you know, it could have had potential. I don't mind the bluesy swagger and the slightly nastier guitars playing off the blocky percussion, even if there's a weird lack of a good bass line or lyrics that have any bite to them outside of the posturing to go wander off and kick ass. But that's the telling thing. Jackson Dean is such a stunningly anonymous and flat singer, he doesn't convey any danger or grit at all. You could wind up with a track that could have been cut by Brantley Gilbert in 2014 that's about as toothless. Honestly, comparing this to the truly hard-hitting southern rock and blues rock that's been released over the course of the past 5 years, this feels like soundtrack filler, and not at all interesting to boot. Especially coming from Music Row, why am I surprised? Maybe it's not terrible, but man, I'm gonna forget this quickly. It ain't good either. Number 88, 54321 by Offset.
Damn, 250 rest in the loop. Know we gon' run with a pack like a wolf. Throw life on me like I'm Tupac Shakur. 35K for the seats on the floor. Yes, I'm the wave, but don't got a shore. Staring at me, but I don't want the whore.
You know, at this point, it feels like Offset is a bit adrift away from the Migos. I've long thought he's had the ability to go solo after he put out Father of Four 3 years ago, but at this point, he's feuding with Quality Control over the rights to his solo music. Apparently, he bought those rights back in early 2021. Now QC's trying to claim control of them. Lawsuits have been filed. A whole shit show is erupting across social media. In any case, this song was produced by Baby Keem. It's basically one extended verse, and I'm not impressed with it. Putting aside the fact that this is a song that seems to be telling off girls looking at him, given that he's now married, it's the same braggadocious triplet flows we've been hearing for years now. The content's not new, and the buzzy patter of the production doesn't really add much here without a real hook. It's a fragment that somehow still feels underwritten with some of Offset's repeated bars. Yeah, the synth touches at the end were nice, but not enough to elevate this to being all that much. Certainly not a lead-off single. Can't really say it's worth a listen either. Let's move on. Number 32, Where It Ends by Bailey Zimmerman.
Shining down on all of your lies. I got too much pride to let that happen again. So this is where it ends.
So this is Bailey Zimmerman's third single to nab a spot in the top 40. Are we getting an album at some point, or is this just gonna be riding out the virality until it all gets played out? Because I think there's a window for something you might want to capitalize. Anyway, this is the newest single, and you know, for as bitter as Zimmerman can be in his failed or failing relationship songs, this might be the one that actually really stuck for me. Riding the breezy but minor key guitars where after giving an ex a chance, she lies again and he finally has to cut her off. Fall in Love might have been sour, Rockin' a Hard Place was exhausted. This one is a lot closer to feeling righteously pissed off, and with the echoing bells and banjos and guitar solos, it almost got around how over-processed the hook feels, or how I can't shake the feeling that there's some Chad Kroeger vocal inflections on the melody. This could have been cut by Nickelback 20 years ago. But anyway, I think I've come around on Bailey Zimmerman. I actually think this is a good song. I'll take it. And finally, number 22, Pink Venom by Blackpink.
Straight till you don't like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Straight till you don't like,
Okay, I'm still annoyed that Lovesick Girls wasn't a proper hit in 2020, just laying that out now. But anyway, this is the newest big single from Blackpink. It's probably gonna get a bounce from the VMAs, we will have to see. And this is one of those examples of a song that, because I grew up and remember the 2000s and a decent amount of 90s hip-hop, that the recontextualization here feels kind of wonky. Yes, I know, it's not right that when I hear the traditional South Korean instruments, I'm reminded more of a Scott Storch beat, but you wouldn't pick these melodic progressions or open up the song with a Biggie reference if you weren't trying to evoke some of that 2000s era in rap music and slamming all these hip-hop beats together, especially when it resolves on such a flat hook with the oily synths behind it. And while Blackpink have a better command of English than a lot of their K-pop peers, especially on the second verse where the flows are really good, it's just hard to escape how this song hits that very same badass card without a lot of variation that we've gotten from a lot of Blackpink's Flex singles. And yeah, that's fine, but it doesn't quite feel as unique as it could have, especially with the hook feeling like such a dud here, and again, so many different sonic inspirations that I very clearly recognize. In other words, there's pieces to this that I really like, but also pieces I really don't. It doesn't make the song either good or bad for me, just frustrating. And I gotta be honest, that's hard to recommend. But that leaves behind a pretty damn weird week on the Hot 100. Best 29 by Demi Lovato, Where It Ends by Bailey Zimmerman's close behind is the honorable mention. Now, worse on the other hand, I mean, there's not really a standout dud to me. I'm gonna give it to Soul by Brice for just not working at all, and I expect more from him. With dishonorable mention going to Don't Come Lookin' by Jackson Dean, because there was at least some potential for a song like that to kick a little bit more ass and not feel so anonymous. But anyway, next week, we're probably in for that DJ Khaled album bomb. We're not lucky enough to get one from Jid, so let's stay tuned and see if I'm proven wrong. Until then, I'm Mark, you're watching Billboard Breakdown, affiliated with Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.